Alright, UFC 291 is tonight. This is like my fight-out video. If you guys missed it, I've done in-depth breakdowns about Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. Did an in-depth breakdown about Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz, and I did a longer video, breaking down each fight on that main card. So if you guys want to go check that out, make sure you guys go check it out. I released it yesterday, but I'm here to talk about some last-minute things, some new things that have come up, such as the big story of Stephen Thompson versus Michel Pereira being off because of a weight miss. I'm going to get into my thoughts about that, as well as Derrick Lewis having abs. I want to talk about most of those things, but first I'm going to be talking about Stephen Thompson versus Michel Pereira. If you guys want to tune in for the Derek Brunson section, just tune in for the end of the video. I'm going to be talking about a little bit of that. But before we get into anything, I just want to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. The last video did pretty good, so I know a lot of you guys are interested, and please just hit the subscribe button. Got a lot of new fans this week, and yeah, that's what happens when you actually have a decent pay-per-view for once. But Stephen Thompson, Michel Pereira, now this was a fight that I was extremely excited for. Obviously, I did a prediction yesterday. I thought Stephen Thompson was going to be able to get this done by decision, maybe 29-28. I thought maybe Pereira can get a takedown in that first round, and maybe Thompson will kind of settle into the fight. But as we know now, the fight is canceled. Michel Pereira, obviously, I said in yesterday's video, is a huge welterweight, and even kind of hinted at his past weight misses. And even last night, I kind of worried. I was like, hey, will he make weight? While I was making the video, I was editing it, worrying about it, because he is a big guy and he has missed weight before. And yeah, the weigh-ins took place this morning. Thompson, obviously weighed in as he always does, on weight, on time, and he got it done, all good and done. Then Michel Pereira waits for the last minute to weigh in and weighs 174 pounds, 3 pounds over the welterweight limit. Well, the welterweight limit for this fight would obviously be 171. You get that 1 pound gap to help you out as long as it's not a championship fight. And yeah, so he's 3 pounds overweight, 4 pounds if you count the 170 limit. And yeah, Thompson made weight, so it's not fair for him to, have to fight a guy that's heavier. So Wonderboy, when he talked to his team, his dad, his coaches, and everything, everybody, I guess, agreed it's probably for the best that Stephen doesn't accept this fight and waits for another opportunity. And this is a risky decision, and honestly a bold decision from Stephen Thompson. Not a lot of fighters would do this. A lot of fighters would probably let their egos get into the way. I'm gonna let you guys know my opinion on it, because I do have some mixed thoughts, and I am a Wonderboy fan. So first of all, as you guys know, I want to talk about the whole concept of weight bullying, weight cutting, and what do I think of it. Now, I talk about this a lot because all the time when I do Q&As, you guys always ask for my thoughts on this kind of stuff. As you guys know, my stance has always been and will always be, unless maybe I change my mind in the future, I don't mind weight bullying. I know it can be annoying, like cases like Khabib, who are really big for that lightweight weight class, and Alex Pereira, another guy who is extremely large for that middleweight weight class that he obviously is now moving up. Weight bullying can be annoying. However, I do think it's fair because anybody could do it as long as you make the weight. I have no problem. That has always been my stipulation. And obviously Michel Pereira is now at a point where he's missed weight twice, and you can't count on him to make weight, and that is why I'm like, dude, you need to move up to 185 and fight some bigger guys, right? And I just think mixed with the altitude and all of that big weight cut, Michel Pereira was not going to win yet. I mean, mixed with already the altitude, you're already going to be gassed from that weight cut. He gasses in general. Yeah, I think the move to 185 is beneficial for him. And yeah, it's honestly really frustrating because, look, I know I don't really like to usually rip fighters on missing weight. A lot of you guys do. Personally, I don't like to, because my stance is like, hey, I'm not cutting weight, and I understand that it is really hard to cut weight, right? And I think a lot of you guys understand it as well, but it's part of their profession. They have to do it. And what kind of makes me a little annoyed about this thing, not only was I really looking forward to the fight, and a lot of the fans were. The fans obviously have a ton of other fights, so really the fans aren't that concerned here. I'm more concerned for Stephen Thompson, his team, his coaches, and everybody around him. Now, a good thing about this case is that Stephen Thompson is going to be paid his show money because he did weigh in and it was the other guy's fault. So Stephen Thompson is good. He's going to get paid, which is good, but it's a shitty situation for him because, look, if maybe this was a guy that's around 25, 26, early into the game, I'd be like, all right, yeah, of course it sucks, but hey, it's not the worst thing to ever happen. It does suck, though. It is a major inconvenience if that happens regardless. But look, Stephen Thompson is 40 and he wants to go for the title, and regardless if you guys think that's possible or not, this fight was one fight closer to him fighting for the title. Like, at best, I'd say Wonderboy has maybe a couple years left. Then he's probably going to retire. He's probably going to retire after the next loss he has. But yeah, I think this is like his last run at welterweight, and this is once again just another day of Stephen Thompson getting older, letting time go by, less of a chance for him to actually win the title. And not only that, there was tons of coaches that came down for him, as well as the fact that Stephen Thompson had to cut weight, went through a brutal weight cut for essentially no reason. I mean, he did get paid money, which is good, but still, I think at this point of his career, I don't think it's really about money. Yeah, money is great, but look, Wonderboy has headline pay-per-views. He's been on that MSG card. He has made money, trust me. The guy has been fighting for a long time. He has his money. He has that kickboxing academy. Money isn't really necessarily the problem for him. It's the time now, right? He's not really so concerned about the money, but it's the wasting the time, and he's wasted so much time on this guy, especially if Michel Pereira was the one to pull pull out back in June. I'm not so sure who pulled out in that situation, but if it was Pereira, you've wasted so much time. You've wasted close to 6 months of this guy's life. It really does suck for Stephen Thompson because I really like him. I think he's one of the best strikers in the UFC, and so do a lot of people, of course. And man, I was really hoping to see him get another win, have an exciting fight, because this was a super exciting matchup. Two really good strikers, and a lot of people have been wanting them to fight for basically the past year. And now the fight is just canceled day before, all because of a weight miss. It is what it is. At the end of the day, if you're going to be a weight bully, just make sure you're going to make weight, because it's extremely disrespectful for your opponent to just have to last minute say, hey, I'm not fighting, go through the mental preparation, and then when's the next matchup that Stephen Thompson is going to get? I mean, when you look at who's available, there aren't many options. Like, I think the best option for him is maybe Kamaru Usman, not in terms of winnability, I just mean in terms of what will get him the title shot. Usman is ranked number 1. He's the only guy I think in the top 5 that he hasn't fought, except for Colby Covington, but Colby is going to be fighting Leon. So I heard a lot of people say they're going to make JDM versus Stephen Thompson, and I just think that sucks for him still. That is a tough matchup for him. I honestly would probably favor Thompson, as crazy as it sounds. I know a lot of you guys might, rip me apart for that opinion, but I just think, he's going to keep him at kicking range. But what Stephen Thompson does struggle with is when it gets into boxing range, and I don't think that's his best attribute. He always comes in hands down. That's obviously his style, but it's going to hurt him when he gets into boxing range. And Madeleine is obviously a really good boxer, has really good power. So I think that's a tough matchup for him, but as of right now, I think I'd probably lean for Stephen Thompson. But regardless, if Stephen Thompson beats JDM, which is a very impressive win, he's still going to need another fight for the title. They're not going to give him a title shot off beating JDM, especially when JDM had a really bad performance a couple weeks ago. So I think, honestly, the only thing that makes sense to me is Stephen Thompson versus Kamaru Usman. Maybe they do a fight night in Africa, to really incentivize Kamaru Usman into taking that Stephen Thompson fight, because I'm sure that's not a fight that he really wants to take. Not that Usman thinks that he's going to lose the fight, but just saying it doesn't really do much for him in terms of a title shot either. So maybe they could do it there, make that the headlining main event. But even then, I want Stephen Thompson to get a matchup soon. So even then, I think JDM's really the only matchup that you're going to be able to make that'll happen really quickly. Or you could do Sean Brady, but Sean Brady also recently was injured. If Michael Chiesa wins tonight, you could also do him versus Chiesa. That would be interesting because Chiesa is a grappler, and we can see how improved is Stephen Thompson in that grappling department since losing to Gilbert Burns and Bilal Muhammad. We haven't really seen him, fight grapplers, so I think it'll be interesting to see, has he improved? But I think in terms of a title shot, if I'm Stephen Thompson, I'm trying to push for, hey, let me fight Kamaru Usman maybe near the end of the year, November, December, and if he wins that fight, then I can't see him not fighting for the title. He's done so much for the company, has been with the company for so long, they should just give it to him at this point. And especially if it's Leon, that is an interesting matchup because they're both strikers, and obviously Stephen Thompson is really good at striking. I think Leon would probably want to mix it up in that matchup, so I'd probably go with Leon in that matchup, but I think it's a little bit more interesting than maybe Kamaru versus Thompson. But honestly, I probably would predict Kamaru to beat Stephen Thompson anyway. But yeah, lastly, I want to talk about Derrick Lewis. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Derrick Lewis, and he hasn't been exactly on the greatest run. Lost to Tai Tuivasa, lost to Sergey Pavlovich, lost to Sergey Spivak, and is now coming back this weekend after I think 3 losses in a row now. Had a terrible 2022. It is looking to get back on the scene with a good knockout win to get him back, towards a title shot. At least that's what I assume he wants. And yeah, obviously I think Derrick Lewis, the biggest concern for me is the injuries that he's been having. He talked about it this week. He said he's been dealing with injuries, sickness, this and that. If you guys remember, he pulled out the day of the first Sergey Spivak fight because of some sort of stomach issue or something like that. And then when you look, when they rebooked the fight, when he weighed in, apparently he had to cut 20 pounds and was so sick, and that's why that performance was really lackluster from Derrick Lewis, and he got submitted in that first round. And yeah, this is him kind of saying, look, everything is dialed in now. I fixed everything. I'm getting in shape. I'm taking my career seriously. And we can see that because the man has abs now. Like, what the hell? Like, that looks photoshopped in. Can't believe I'm seeing Derrick Lewis with abs. What the hell am I even looking at right now? John Jones is right now hiding under the octagon somewhere, hiding from this beast. But in all seriousness, guys, I like this change from Derrick Lewis. Is it a little bit too late? In my opinion, yeah, it's a bit too late if I'm going to be honest. The guy should have been taking his career a lot more serious earlier on when he was younger, and he probably could have been a champion, right? With that power, and if he would have just matched it with trading hard and really rounding out his skills, yeah, he probably would have been champion. But I just think it's too late. He's really old, and this matchup against De Lima is a tough one for him. I got De Lima by maybe knockout or submission. I think maybe he's going to hurt him on the feet and then submit him. I think it'll end rather quickly. De Lima obviously also has really good leg kicks. A lot of talk about that throughout the week. But man, I like to see Derrick Lewis taking the sport a little bit more serious, and I like Derrick Lewis, so I'm hoping for a good win for him. But yeah, I didn't mean to make this video go for so long, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, guys. What fight are you most excited for tonight? I can't believe it, man. About 12 more hours from when this video comes out, and the pay-per-view will officially be on. Guys, thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.